All right, welcome back to the next part in my series on viewer-submitted tones that some of my YouTube viewers and various members of different internet forums, whether Facebook or Gear Page or whatnot, have submitted to me to kind of have me tweak them or take a look at them. Maybe they've had some problems with them, maybe not. This week I have a patch from Mike Griffin. Mike's a really cool guy. I had a lot of fun chatting back and forth with him, and he just asked me, he says, I have this, he calls it Direct to House 2 patch, which he just uses on stage, direct out to front of house. And he said, I just love this. It's good, straightforward, you know, patch that he feels could be useful for a lot of people. And I think he has this up on custom tone actually. But he just asked me, he says, can you take a listen to it? And, you know, just whatever you can think of. So I sent him back. I asked him, you know, what kind of guitar are you using? And is there anything you're not happy with it? And he says, no, I'm pretty happy with it, which is awesome, right? But he says, just give it your thoughts. But he did say one thing. He says on the clean sound, he's getting like a crackling distortion. So I thought, okay, I'll take a look at that and see what happens. Anyways, when I did get this back from him, or from him, when I did get it, I plugged in and played through it and said, wow, this is a really great patch. And again, this is another one, kind of like Jerry's and a couple others where I just kind of, you know, I don't want to mess too much with this, because at that point it just kind of comes across as arrogant. Like, no, I think it should be like this because I say so. No, it's nothing like that. This is a really great patch. Works great, sounds great. You know, would it be what I dialed in for my personal preference? Probably I would do something different. For instance, Mike's using an IR on here that's based around a 57, he calls it 57 grill cone near. Right off the bat, that's, you know, as I've made clear, I'm not a huge fan of the sound of a 57 mic, but you know, who am I to say that when so many great records have been made with it and great tones have been made with it? So it's really a personal preference thing. It's a fabulous mic for certain things. So I didn't want to mess with that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, I apologize, Mike, but I think he said, oh, maybe even try it with some stock cabs. And, you know, I listened to this and I don't really want to mess with that. I don't want to play around with something that he's happy with and make it worse. You know, I'll just try to see if I can do something to improve upon it. So I left that alone. This sounded really good to me. So he has a few snapshots here. He has crunch, drive, overdrive, idle, wet, clean chorus, clean tremolo, drop D, idle, swell. I didn't really dive into all of them because some of them are just special effects. I'm not going to play with that. I mean, people dial their effects in the way they want to, and you know, usually they're happy with that. But here's the sound of Mike's crunch snapshot. Perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? He has his drive snapshot. Fine, nothing wrong with that, you know? Overdrive channel. Again, this is all good stuff, right? So what did I change then? Well, basically the only change I made globally across the board is that, let's take for his overdrive here. He had an LA Studio Comp at the beginning with the settings 7.8 and 6.2 on the peak reduction and gain respectively. I left everything alone, but all I did is I backed down the mix from 100% to 65%, just to let some of that direct, unaffected signal through to give them a little bit more dynamics, a little bit more pick attack. And that really kind of opened the sound up a bit. Let's just go to the overdrive channel that I did. So make sure that that's on both of them. Yeah, good. Okay, so here was Mike's sound. This is going to be very subtle stuff. Here's what I did. Mike's again. Maybe some of the pick attack is a little bit squashed there, and here it breathes through a little bit better. Again, that could have just been left alone. Mike did an awesome job with this patch, but that's one little thing. And I think Mike got back to me. He's like, yeah, it was cool. It just kind of like, you know, polished it up a bit or whatever. So, but here was the big problem. If we go up to the patch he calls Clean Chorus, here was the thing I noticed right away, which is what Mike had told me. He says the crackling sound. So listen to this. This is Mike's patch. No matter how lightly I hit, or if I really dig in, there's this digital distortion going on, right? And you go, where is that coming from? Who knows, right? What I did notice is Mike is using the Essex A15, so a Vox style amp model, but there's no cab after it. Now, this is a common thing to do if you're looking for a very pristine, kind of sharp, clean tone, to go without a speaker cabinet, more like they used to do, DI sort of straight into the board, you know, and get a nice clean tone. So there's nothing wrong with that. It almost gives an acoustic quality to the sound, you know, like a piezo acoustic sort of a sound to it. So I didn't want to mess with that. I didn't want to go throw a speaker cabinet after that. But I think what was happening after kind of scratching my head for a bit, he's feeding that here into a split, which is feeding a whole bunch of effects, some verb, some delays. Well, because we don't have a speaker cabinet after there, what the speaker cabinet will do is it will attenuate or bring the volume down off of the high frequencies, right? So this is kind of letting more of the full frequency spectrum of that amp come through without that attenuation above, let's say, I don't know, 8,000 hertz, or I don't quote me on that, I could be off, but in and around there. So I think what was happening, or what I came to the conclusion is that amp was hitting those effects so hard, the high frequencies, that it was distorting the effects, right? It wasn't an output problem here, so it didn't matter if I changed the output block, I was still getting that. So no matter how much I brought the output block down, still distorted. So I went, okay, it's happening in here somewhere. Well, what was my solution to that? Well, if you go over to my patch here, you'll notice I kind of shuffled things around a little bit. I made some space here and I put a gain block after the effects. Boosted it up 12 dB, which sounds crazy. Well, it sounds crazy until you see what else I did over here. I put a compressor, a deluxe comp, right before the amp. I hit it fairly lightly, 2-to-1 compression ratio, threshold of -33, 10 millisecond attack, 100 millisecond release, and a mix of 50%. So really not heavy duty compression by any stretch of the imagination. But what I did do is I pulled the level back. This is the real purpose of this compressor, is pulling the level back -20. So now it's hitting the amp. Now that -20 isn't really going to affect the amp tonality because we weren't trying to drive the front end of the amp anyways. We weren't looking for distortion from the front end of the amp. We were looking for a clean sound. So pulling that level back, if it was a distorted tone, would have hit the front end of the amp less and then would have changed their distortion characteristics. But that's not the case here because we're just going for a clean sound. So I pulled the level way back, so the amount of signal coming out of the amp, and I also got some compression, which I wanted on that clean sound to control it a little bit. I pulled the amount of signal going through the amp, so the amount of signal that comes through here and hits the effects is much less, therefore no distortion. Then how did I get the volume back up? Well, I put the +12 gain block at the end after the effects, and that boosted it up so that it sounded much better without the distortion. And then on all the other snapshots, if you notice, I just turned that gain block off, so it's not boosting it up, right? So let's hear how those compare now. So here was Mike's clean chorus with the kind of distorted sound. Here's mine. No matter how hard I hit now, back to Mike's. And actually, sorry, I have the chorus on, which he didn't have on. Let's just compare it without the chorus. So here was Mike's. Here's mine. Sorry about weird little tuning thing going on there. So yeah, that was really cool. I was glad I was able to figure out a way to kind of fix that up and get a nice clean tone. Mike's pretty happy with getting rid of that crackling. So that's a good lesson to watch, that we're not feeding so much signal into some of the effects, that we're clipping those out, right? So if you do, there are workarounds for that. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. Awesome job on that one, Mike. Very little for me to do. Made my life pretty simple, but fun. And again, Mike was pretty happy with that, so I was happy in the end. And that's what this is all about. And it's so much fun dealing with everybody. So many really awesome people out there that it's really nice to get to know and converse with about these things. And it's really nice to see how people are dialing their tones. There's a lot of really great patches everybody's making, you know, and it's really, really awesome. So thank you guys for submitting. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it. And, you know, maybe I'll be sending some stuff back that people won't like, but whatever, you know, it's so down to personal preference. And I'd never want it to sound as if I think that the only, you know, the way I'm doing things is the best. But in this case, I didn't even have to really do much at all. So all right, thanks guys. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, share it if you don't mind. I really appreciate all the support. Leave me your comments, and I'd love to talk about these things with everybody. And we'll see you guys again very soon. Thanks again for tuning in.